All right, everyone. Thanks for jumping back on the podcast. Today we have a special guest, Kelly Gibbons. She's actually my neighbor a couple houses down. But thank you for coming on today. I'll give a little quick synopsis of what I know about Kelly. Number one is she's a great neighbor. Second is she's from New York, grew up there, moved out here, and then she's been here kind of ever since she moved here. But I'll let you fill in the rest. So, Kelly, give us a better picture of who you are.
So, Kelly Gibbons. It's funny because Jordan is my neighbor, and you're Gibby and I'm Gibbons, and sometimes the neighbors get that all mixed up.
Almost the same.
Almost the same.
Are they mixing it up? Who's mixing it up?
Oh, we've had a couple of people like,
Really?
oh, you guys are Gibby, right? No, we're Gibbons.
And there's two Gibbies in the neighborhood, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's two Kelly Gibbons. There's a male Kelly Gibbons.
What?
And I'm Kelly Gibbons. And when I used to go to the clubhouse, they would get me confused.
Really? There's two Kelly Gibbons?
Yeah, one's a male and one's a female.
Is the other one still here?
I don't know.
So we're going to confuse the audience right now?
Maybe.
This is the female
This
Kelly
is the
Gibbons.
female Kelly Gibbons.
No one's confused.
Yeah, just in case anyone gets confused. So, so we moved here. It's going to be a decade, which to me is absolutely mind-blowing that I picked up my family and we moved across the country, and we're going on, this upcoming summer will be 10 years.
Is it really 10 years now?
Yeah, which, right before we started filming, we were talking about how, like, my kids, essentially grew up here. Like, my youngest was 6 when we moved here, and he barely even remembers New York. So to me, it's just so funny because I never thought like this would happen, that we would actually move across the country. But I think from an early age, I kind of had like the taste that I didn't want to have my kids grow up on Long Island. And, you just recently filmed Peter, and Peter's from Long Island as well. And he pretty much had the same sentiments about like growing up on Long Island or New York, and just not a place that we felt like we wanted to, raise our kids. And the biggest thing was my husband wasn't from Long Island.
He's not from Long Island?
He's from upstate New York. So he is, so this is the thing with New York. Everyone thinks New York, you think the tri-state area, you think the city, Long Island, you think maybe even like upper New Jersey, like that really, urban, crazy life.
Concrete jungle.
Jungle. The
Honking.
Majority of New York is
I'm walking here.
Exactly. But the majority of New York is as rural as can be.
It's rural.
So rural. Like nobody understands that.
Really?
And so my husband grew up about like 2.5, 3 hours north of the city in a small town called New Paltz. Really kind of funky, artsy little town.
Okay.
And so he grew up on the trails and mountain biking and just, getting lost in the forest. And when he graduated, his industry was based at the time on Long Island. That's where a lot of, he's an aerospace engineer. And that's where kind of the Grumman's headquarters was. And a lot of the really big aerospace industry is still kind of in that Long Island space. And so he was kind of forced to move to Long Island.
He moved he moved there. So he moved to Long Island when he was a kid, but
no, after grad school.
Oh, so he grew up outside of Long Island in New York, and then moved.
So he grew up.
I'm thinking it's all like one Long Island, but it's
no, it's a little. It looks like the little fish that sticks out of.
Geography is not something I've studied well enough.
So we had both met in upstate New York at college at Binghamton University.
So you both went to the same college.
We went to the same college. I was finishing undergrad. He was finishing his master's.
Wow.
We kind of, started, casually dating a little bit, but I was graduating. He was staying through the summer to finish his master's. I moved back home to Long Island. And then I had a mutual friend say, hey, do you remember that guy that you were, starting to date a little bit? I said, yes. And she said, he's moving to Long Island. And I said, no. He's not moving to Long Island. That man hates Long Island. He told me he would never, ever move to Long Island.
He said that. He said, I'm never going there.
Yeah, he was like, oh my gosh, you're from Long Island. I don't even think I can date you. I hate all Long Island girls. They're all the same. I hate
Wait. What's a Long Island girl consist of? What is that? We don't know what that is.
Well.
What is the stereotype?
We're a little gritty, I guess you could say.
Do you self-identify as a Long Island girl?
Still.
You still do? Okay, so what is a Long Island girl? Gritty? Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess anyone who knows me would be like, oh, we can tell you exactly how she is. I don't know, a little. I talk fast. I get very excited when I talk. People will argue that appearances are a thing, maybe. That was never my thing. You can argue that's the same here.
Okay.
There's a little similarity with stuff like that, but not laid back.
Not laid back.
Not laid back.
So
very excitable, people would describe me as.
Would you say like it's because the people that settled there are
It's just
is it the culture?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just because when you're a suburb of one of the biggest cities in the world, it's just fast paced and it's a lot of energy. And when there's a lot of energy, you always feel like you have to like just keep going and keep up with the mix. And that comes with the personality, I guess. And
so you grew up around it, so you didn't notice that was happening till you.
I knew from an early age that I wanted something different for my family. Maybe I was looking for a little bit of a slower pace in life. And so he ended up moving to Long Island. You know, we bought our first house together. You know, I did live in Manhattan for a while. I lived in Queens.
So you guys got married in Long Island? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So you were you met in college. He ended up moving there.
Yep.
And you were shocked he was moving there.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're still shocked he moved there.
Yeah. Yep. But I understood at the time it was for him to get his foot in the door in the industry.
I see.
We bought our first house. The kids were born there. And then that's when so what had happened was I'm a nurse. My clinical background is nursing.
So you're studying nursing in college?
Yeah, studied nursing and got my bachelor's in nursing. And for many, many years, I worked in the operating room at one of our local community hospitals. Wow. One of the anesthesiologists that I worked with, I was very good friends with, he always had a second home in Park City. And so after a while, because the taxes in New York and Long Island are crazy.
They're bad.
Mean, it's like a minimum on a 1,500 square foot house, you're paying like $12,000 a year in taxes. It's absolutely insane. Wow. And so he had a very, very large home on Long Island, and he was paying like $30,000 in taxes, something crazy. Wow. He had a house that was just as big in Utah, and the taxes were nothing. And he was like, "What am I doing?" So
what is he doing?
Yeah. So he was like, "This is ridiculous. We love Utah. We're going to move there permanently." So he moves to Utah permanently. And
to Park City. He ends up going to his second home as his first home.
And he sold that house and he bought a new house in Park City. And so they're settled there. And we were like, what if we just go and see what else is out there in the world? You know, Utah has everything we want. Like my husband, he's an outdoor person. He's a huge mountain biker, snowboarder, all the things. And I felt so drawn to that. And I said, let's just go and look. And we knew that the company he was working for at that point had an office in Salt Lake.
Interesting.
So we talked to the office in Salt Lake, he did. And they said, if you want to transfer out there, you'll be on your own dime, but we will
to move out there, you pay for the move.
It would be up to us. So we came out. And it was funny because we ended up going to this friend's house in Park City, and my kids thought that if we moved to Utah, that we were going to have a house like his. And I mean, he's an anesthesiologist. His wife's a doctor. You could, obviously
they get by. They get just barely get by.
They had, which now it's kind of common to have like a theater room, but this was going back maybe not on our street, but you know how it is in Utah. And we went to his house and the kids were like, we want to live in Utah. We're going to have a movie theater in the house. And I was like, kids, let's take it down a notch. Yeah. Like, no. So we decided to go for it. We said, let's do it. Let's move. But the housing market.
But your job was transferable?
A nurse, you can get a job anywhere.
You can?
So, yeah.
There's sick people everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, like a clinical position. Not like what I do now, but back then being like what we would consider a staff nurse.
Okay.
There's always a need. There's a nursing shortage everywhere.
Okay.
And so, we decided to go for it. But then there was one caveat. That was the housing market in New York State.
What year was this? This
was probably, we moved here permanently in 2015, so maybe like 2013-ish.
So it was out of the 2008 problem, but you were in this like newfound problem.
Yes, and everything was crashing. Ooh. And I mean, we knew people that were having to short sell their house and, bankruptcy, foreclosure, left and right. It was absolutely insane. And here we were homeowners at that point for 10 years, like always paid extra into our mortgage. We were doing all the right things. Yeah. But because everything around us was
the not laid back way, right?
Yeah. And it was so frustrating because we had the real estate agent come in and they would have had to put our house on the market for $100,000 less than we paid for.
So you would have lost all the equity you would have put in on that.
And we
mortgage.
were like, oh my gosh, we'll be leaving with the shirt off our back. Like how, this is not a smart move. And so we pulled out of it. Like he had a start date for the office in Salt Lake. And
what?
Yeah, like we were like, in retrospect, we probably did things a little backwards. You should have had the real estate agent come in first and then I
don't know.
It was kind of, full speed ahead. And so we were like, no, we can't do this. This is not smart financially. So we decided to stay on Long Island and took advantage of the market being so low that we ended up buying the cutest little cabin in upstate New York. And so
you bought a second property. Like, I'm going to invest the money somewhere local. I know the market here. Okay.
So it was the best of both worlds. We made peace with the fact that we're going to stay on Long Island where I could be at the beach in 5 minutes. And then on the weekends, be up at my mountain cabin. And it was great. And
How far was the cabin away from your house?
It was about 3.5 hours. Yeah.
So it was pretty rural.
Yeah, it was.
Was it by where your husband grew up then?
No, it was a little bit more west and north of that. Okay. Very close to a ski area, a popular ski area up in New York.
So kind of like a micro Park City type situation?
No, much more rural than that.
Much more rural.
No. Yeah.
Park City's close, but
Yeah, no, this is very much upstate New York. And we loved it. Like we were in love with this cabin and we just embraced this is our, we're not moving to Utah. We were pretty devastated, because in our heads, we were gone. But this cabin came into our lives and we were in a good place. And then all of a sudden, Utah came a knocking. What? And his office called and said, hey, are you still interested in moving out here? Because now we need you to move out here.
Oh, it was like they're going to pay for the move.
And so we're like, well, we don't know how much more the market has come up. And, how are you going to help us? Like, you need us. And so they were, a cross-country move is not cheap. And so they paid for everything to be moved. They even paid for movers to come into my house and pack up the house, which is amazing.
Wow. What year was this?
This is now about 2015.
So 2 years after the fallout of
Basically.
This Isn't Happening.
Yep.
2 years you had settled, the dust had settled.
Yeah.
And you were like, we're never doing that thing.
Yep. And then all of a sudden.
Oh my word.
Yep. The knock on the door and it opened it all back up again. And here we were officially moving. And they gave us a nice moving bonus. We still didn't really get a lot from the house.
But you had two. Did you keep both? Do you sell both?
No, we did something smart because we didn't know how this move. What if we get there and we're miserable and we don't want to lose this cabin? So my mother-in-law bought the cabin.
Yeah, and so kept it in the family.
She kept it in the family just in case. And then once we knew after we were here a handful of years that we knew that this was our life here now. Then she sold it, but she bought it for us.
Just in case,
which was awesome.
Because you could move back to the cabin, right? But working, could you work out of the cabin? You couldn't work from home out of the cabin. No. Nursing doesn't happen happen in rural places, I guess.
Yeah, but there's not much there. Not much. I think they have a hospital. It's like one room.
It's like 3 patients that keep coming through, the same 3.
And I know that because I had to get stitches there once.
Oh,
no. So we came over in 2015.
Wow.
July 5th.
That doesn't feel that long ago.
But it is. It's almost a decade.
Does it feel like it's been a decade you've been living here?
I don't know. I have such mixed emotions. It still feels, it feels like we've been here forever, but at the same time, it's like, did we really do that? It's still shocking to me.
Yeah, because I can feel the Long Island energy, but there's definitely a Suncrest vibe now. It's kind of smoothed out the bumps a little bit.
Okay.
You seem more happy with where things are headed.
Yeah. No, it's been an amazing move. Our careers took off. The kids are doing great. The friends, we have no family here.
Zero family here.
No. And so much of Suncrest are transplants. A lot of people moving here because of big business and your friends become your family. And I, was very fortunate early on. Well, we can actually take a step back because, how did we end up in Suncrest? That's probably the story that everyone always wants to hear. How did you find Suncrest?
It's curious. It's a very quirky place,
Right. Yeah. It's its own world. And sometimes I don't even say I'm from Draper. I'll say I'm from Suncrest. It's its own town.
And Edge Home sometimes.
And that other part. But we had a really good, I think we got so lucky that back on Long Island, his company set us up with a relocation agent. So somebody who specializes in relocating.
So it's like people. A realtor that's contractor?
I guess they have like another, I don't know, like a special license to be a relocation agent. Don't quote me on that, but
that's weird.
So that's what she specialized
But it's like an
in.
employee of their business, or it's like
I'm not sure how it exactly works. And so she was amazing. She was amazing. She felt our vibe. She knew we kind of wanted Park City, and we looked at Park City. We were missing a couple $1 million, and that was not going to happen.
Back then you were,
we still are. And then she kind of showed us all different, we looked everywhere from like North Salt Lake all the way down.
Were you here looking, or were you back there online?
Well, when I say we were looking, it was partly online, and then we came out twice. And so twice since that first visit back in like 2013, we came out to do kind of an initial scouting, and then we came back and literally had 1 week to find a house.
So this is your first time moving states?
Oh, yeah.
In your entire life?
Yeah.
So you were like, I've never moved. This is the first time I'm moving.
Yeah, and the only time I've ever moved was like locally, like Long Island to Manhattan, Manhattan to Queens,
So was there any fear though? Like you had this excitement.
Absolutely.
So what were you feeling back then? What was there must have been some kind of like, you must have been holding back a little bit.
It was a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of trepidation, of course. I mean, you get on some of these like forums, to read about like living in Utah, and you get a little nervous about what you're reading and
what are these people doing?
Yeah, like just all those different things. But I think what made it for us was this relocation agent, because she was amazing. She knew exactly kind of what we wanted, and she was like, "I'm going to show you this place," and I'm like, What are we talking about here?
What place?
She's like, and I think she described it maybe as quirky. She was like, it's kind of different.
Yeah.
It's on top of a mountain. We're like, what? She's like, but I know you guys want the trails. The trails are right there. She's like, the summers are amazing. And she brought us up here. And we were like, oh, wow, this is okay. Yeah.
Do you remember your first drive coming up ever?
Well, yeah. I remember like driving up thinking, okay, this is crazy. But when you're moving like that, you're not thinking like, what is this going to feel like every day driving up? Like you're thinking like you're going to like a vacation paradise, but you're not so like we were just blown away.
It's like a ski lift. You're just, this is really cool. I'm getting to the top of the mountain.
The thing was, this should have been our first, I still laugh when I think about this. It was April and we came up here and there was a foot of snow.
April, there's still snow. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is really funny. And we thought it was the funniest thing on earth, not thinking this was going to be our reality. Like, oh my God, look, it's still snow. It's so funny. And she was like, oh yeah, they get a bit of snow, but we're still like, like we get snow in New York too,
Yeah, it's the same.
Kinda. So that should have been the red flag about the snow in April. But we found this street, this house really needed not a ton of work. We can move in and work on it.
The one you're in now? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we didn't want to have to like move across country into something that needed a ton of work. Again, because we didn't get a lot of money coming out of our house in New York. We kind of wanted something we could just start our lives in.
Yeah.
And
just keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forward.
Yeah.
But not move again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the same house, 10 years. Mm-hmm. So you fell in love with the house, but
it didn't like check all the boxes I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I wanted something with like high ceilings, but it was just in such good condition.
Yeah.
And again, we were so time limited because we had to, whatever was on the market then, we had to kind of go for it because we had to be here by July for his job.
Wait, so how much time do you have to decide then? How many months was it?
We literally came that second time we came out, it was April when she brought us up here. We saw the house and that was it.
So you had to make decisions like bip, bop, boop, just kind of from the hip.
Yeah, I know
almost.
A lot of people who have moved to this whole area of Utah for work because right now business is booming and they've like bought their houses just sight unseen.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing right now.
Yeah, it's one of the people we talked to said the same thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of had this big life event happen.
Yeah.
But before that happened, you were building your life up. You were studying nursing.
Yeah.
You don't just fall into nursing, right? It's something you have to study. And what drew you into nursing?
I like to think of it as a mistake, which sounds horrible. Sounds harsh, but it was one of those things where, I was the first generation to go to college in my family.
Okay.
My mom always wanted to be a nurse or she always wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to be a doctor, but I knew having a family was important to me. I was drawn to like the healthcare aspect of helping people, but I knew like if you're going into medicine, that is your life. Like you're in school for 8 years. And I said, well, what can I do that's in that field? And also something that was so like meant so much to my mom because it was something that she never got to do.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just default said, I'll be a nurse.
Because it's a good, solid foundation to build on.
Yeah. And you can get a job very easily. And so, I got into a really good, Binghamton has a really good reputation and went through their 4-year program there. But it's that aspect of who I am is just this big, it's
just a job more so than.
Yeah, I absolutely am a people person. Anyone can tell you that. I love, making relationships. I absolutely love helping people. That is ingrained in my soul. But healthcare is hard. It is hard. And anyone who can tell you who's been a nurse or working in a hospital, it is, it could kill you. It's that
the
hard.
Stress could?
The stress, just the day-to-day, it's a hard industry to be in. COVID didn't help, people can tell you horror stories about that. I have like this other whole creative side that I always wonder if I went back and did it again, would I have picked a nurse? And the answer is no. And I can honestly say that. And it's nothing against the profession. The profession has opened up a lot of doors for me. I've been very successful, going from being a staff nurse to getting my master's, to going into administration and working at, top level places and really building my career. But I think I would have been something a little bit more creative. Like I would have maybe been in marketing, advertising maybe.
Yeah.
Like I have this other whole, people say left brain, right brain. I definitely feel like I bounce off of both sides all day long.
Pinballing around a little bit.
And so I always wonder, like, if I can do it again, what.
Yeah. Well, I think if you step back and look at you're able to take calculated risks, right? You take good risks.
Yeah.
But I think any risk you're taking has to be calculated.
Yeah.
But moving from Long Island to here was a complete lifestyle change.
Yeah.
But you thrived in the new lifestyle, right? So you're not going to have trouble anywhere you go.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I know we were just talking before this that, I recently did leave my healthcare corporate job, and that was a big kind of moment where, now you do it and then days go by and it just so happened. I feel like I'm a walking cliche right now, like middle-aged woman, quits job, and then I took off to Italy for 2 weeks. And
getting Instagram going, start taking the pictures.
Yeah, I am like such a walking cliche.
Went to Italy for 2 weeks.
Yes.
So why Italy? Why would you be driven to go to Italy?
So because of that creative side of my brain, I found this retreat with a best-selling author and a famous yoga instructor who I followed for years. And they were putting this retreat on with this retreat company in Tuscany.
Tuscany?
And so I signed up with the blessing of my husband. I said to him joking, like, hey, can I have a couple $1,000s? And thinking that he would say like, no. And
he was like, don't you want the theater room, huh?
He was like, just go for it. So, and then I'm like, wait, if I'm going to go there, my bucket list item was to always go to where my family's from in Italy. I still have cousins there I never met.
You have family in Italy?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
So, yeah, my grandparents born and raised in Italy.
Do you speak any Italian?
I do.
What?
Sì, un poco. Yeah.
Really?
Very little.
But growing up, you spoke it? Or?
No, my dad's first language was Italian. Like him and his siblings, like they knew Italian before they knew English.
Really? Your dad's first language was Italian?
Yeah.
So you're first generation.
So my dad was born in America,
Okay.
But his parents were born in Italy. And a lot of Italians that came over and settled like in New Jersey, New York area, like it's still so like, a lot of them didn't even learn English. Like they're just so still like acclimated to their culture in Italy. And so I grew up like in a very Italian family on my dad's side.
Okay.
And all of his first cousins are still over there, on his dad's side are still over there. So my goal in life was to go to this town, this small little town called Molfetta outside of Bari. So it's like on the heel of the boot, Italy's a boot. And so the week before the retreat, I had talked to the cousins there, and my 72-year-old male cousin picked me up from the airport with his daughter.
What?
And I spent the week going all around with them. It was amazing.
Wow.
It is so amazing that like this family that I've never, I've only known them through Facebook, social media kind of, made that part happen.
Click through their photos.
Yeah.
Look at them. They're getting older. Okay. Yeah. All right. They got fat. Oh.
Exactly. And they were absolutely, like, we bonded immediately. The same humor.
Really?
Like, even with
But you could communicate with, they could speak English? Or?
Between their English, which two of them, so the 72-year-old spoke pretty good English.
Oh,
His daughter is exactly my age. She speaks really good English. And then their other sister spoke decent English, better than my Italian. And so between their English, my limited Italian, and Google Translate, thank you very much, Google, it was not an issue.
Really?
And we just bonded. Like you would think that we were sisters. Like it was so hard to leave them because we were like BFFs by the time we were done with this trip. And
so they're going to come visit you?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So you're finishing the trip and then...
So I left that town, this little town of Molfetta, and then I took trains by myself all the way over to to Florence, spent a day in Florence, then went over to the retreat and took a writing course with this best-selling author, Anne Garvin, and did yoga every day with Tara Stiles, which was like a dream. It felt like I was meeting a celebrity.
Yeah, and, this sounds like a dream.
It was amazing. Amazing.
And you just got back from
And then I just got back, and then the reality of like, now I don't have a job.
I'm on a podcast?
Yeah, and now I'm on a podcast. So
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Yeah. So it's been kind of a crazy like last 3 weeks or so. But
do you feel like you kind of reset though? Like you feel like you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The corporate mumbo jumbo is out of your head now.
I feel like I can breathe. I feel a little lost, but I can breathe, which is a very weird combination.
Okay.
I'm the type of person though, I can't kind of sit still. So I'm already starting in the process of starting my own consulting company, and we'll see where that goes. So
what's the consulting though? What are you focusing on?
There is a lot of areas within healthcare that lawyers kind of look for experts in the field to kind of consult with. So whether it's a malpractice case or a person facing a severe disability and maybe there's a lawsuit involved, and they'll go and consult with, they love nurses because we know how to read charts. We have a vast background of, clinical background. And so I'm kind of looking into that avenue, hoping to do a little healthcare lifestyle freelance writing. And then looking into some work within the AI space because AI is so, it's everywhere now. And so in healthcare, it's touching all different places. So there's some avenues to do some consulting with that. So we'll see. I think like hitting that little reset button and just seeing what this next...
I feel like your creative brain's ready to pounce on that.
It is, yeah.
If anything, if you already pounced on it, you're just you're moving down the path of
exactly.
So you have some clients lined up. You've got things.
Yeah, I have. I'm networking essentially, and seeing. There's some education courses that I have to take to kind of understand how to do a little bit of this work, but. Just keeping the options open. I don't know. Next week it might look different. Next week I might be a professional podcast host.
You could be hosting this podcast.
Gibby and Gibbons.
Gibby and Gibbons.
There you go. So I don't know. The world
everything
is
healthcare. We don't love it, but we know it.
Maybe something a little bit more fun than healthcare, but
Yeah, we could partner up on it. Yeah. Well. So your family's all grown up here. You mentioned your kids. You're chatting.
Yeah.
They only really know Suncrest.
Yeah, especially my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was 6 when we moved here.
And tell us how that's been. So has that been exciting for you?
It's been, So this is, and I'll touch upon why I love Suncrest so much. One of the things I love was how helpful people are. Because one thing, and I always kind of keep a tab on this because I'll see people asking about this in the Suncrest Facebook group, is the whole school system thing is very, very different than New York. In New York, you grew up, I lived in the town of Comac, Smithtown, and those were like our towns, and you were assigned to the school district, and that's where you went. Maybe you went to Catholic school, but there was no, you can pick this school, you can pick this school, And when we moved here, every single kid on the block went to a different school.
Here in Suncrest, yeah.
On this street.
Which I'm starting to learn now
On
because
this
my
street.
son's in kindergarten now. I'm like, whoa, there's like 1,000 different options.
So I don't know if it was the real estate agent said, oh, you're in the Alpine School District, not realizing that we're actually in Salt Lake County, that we could go to the Canyon School District. So I signed them up to go to the Alpine side, and we had moved here in July. We started meeting the kids. School starts in August, and like one kid went to St. John the Baptist, one kid went to Channing Hall, one kid went to Summit, one kid went to I forget what the school is on the Alpine side. One kid went to Oak Hollow on the Canyon side. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember being in tears, actually crying, going, I don't understand what's going on with these schools.
Yeah.
And so then like the kids started making friends and like, well, we want to go where Johnny's going because,
But there's no bus for that one.
There's no bus. Like I was I was like panicking. And so we ended up going to the school on the Alpine side the first year. But I remember I had put it on the Facebook page, which the Facebook page gets a lot of slack. We know it's
been around for a while. I mean,
there's drama, but it's also so good. And it's so good for things like this, where I was like, I just moved here. And you see posts like that all the time. I just moved here. Can you help me? And I remember there was this one lady who reached out to me, privately, through Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And she was like, let me give you the lowdown. It's super confusing. I don't know if you realize you're, on this county side. And she was so good. And she held my hand and walked me through the whole process. And to this day, almost a decade later, that person, Melissa Miller, I always say she's my first Suncrest friend, and she's been one of my best friends since day one. And all she did was just reach out on Facebook through seeing my post on the Suncrest page to say this girl needs help and I'm going to help her. And that's kind
Melissa
of
Miller.
Shout
out.
Miller family. And, it's stuff like that I think, as much slack as the Suncrest page gets, it has so much benefit. Yeah. And just that one little interaction has led to like a decade-long, friendship. And like I always say, like she saved me because I was like, we're moving. I don't understand what's going on here. Like it felt like I moved to a different country because I could not understand what was going on with the schools. And
it's like so traumatic to go from a known place for so long, and then just it's like a cold plunge. You're right into this new thing.
So different.
And your kids go. So they were already in school when you moved.
Yeah.
So what were their ages when you moved?
So Brady, so it was the summer. So Brady was going into first grade and McKenna was going into third grade.
That is a hard time to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because who are their friends going to be for the next forever?
And that was the thing. So they would come home from school and every kid on the street went to a different school. So they would see each other after school, which was nice too, because I felt like they made lots of different friends. They had school friends, they had their, neighborhood friends. And that was good.
You also are known to be a friend of everyone on the street. You're always friends with everybody on the street. I know that you've always been friends with everybody on the street.
I'm a very social person. Some people always say like, how do you know everybody in Draper? And I'm like, I don't know. I just talk to people all the time. But another saving grace when we moved here was somebody had told me about this mom's club. So now if we would have
a mom's club,
if we would have went back in time and somebody would have said to me, Kelly, when you get older, you're going to be in a mom's club, I would have been like, that's not happening. I am not that person. I am never going to be in a mom's club. And so I moved here and I'm trying to think I think it must have been Tasha Lowry. Because I think we became friends very, very early on. And at that time, I think she was president of the Mom's Club. And so
she was president of the Mom's Club.
She was president of the Mom's Club. And so
she's always in charge of something.
Yes. And so she's very influential, that Tasha. And she was like, you need to be part of this Mom's Club. I was like, yes, okay. And so it was actually called the Draper Mom's Club. And it's actually a nonprofit organization. It's part of this bigger.
It's not just a hangout. It's a real thing.
No, it's an actual nonprofit, and people don't realize that. So it's like the International Mom's Club, I think. And so you have different, divisions.
It's international?
Yes. And so what I liked about it was we actually did service projects with the kids.
Yeah.
And so that was really, really cool. And all those moms back like a decade ago that were in the Moms Club, we were all transplants. We were all we had all moved here because of our husbands' jobs. Oh. And so they were from all over, from the East Coast, from California, and still to this day, so now our kids are all older. So we still do stuff with Moms Club, but a lot of, the people that are more active members, the kids are younger. Mm-hmm. But all of us are still super good friends. And a lot of them all lived in Suncrest. So, to this day, I still consider a lot of them, my closest friends, and we all met through this mom's
They're
club.
all still here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So that Tasha showed you the mom's club, and then you kind of like waltzed in. You're like, this isn't my thing, but I'll do it.
But it was.
Okay.
It was actually super fun, great group of ladies. And so I really connected early on. And I always wonder, like, if I didn't connect with that club, that's the club, with that gang, with that mom's gang, like, it really made a difference. And so I still think it's funny that I was like, I was even secretary, I think, one time.
You were?
Yeah, I had a board position too. And
how serious is this club?
We're hardcore, man.
It sounds
we
really
gang
intense.
signs, like
you have like motorcycles, like jackets. Like I'm just imagining like Stanley Cups, like in the motorcycle.
Yes,
Like was that part of it back then? They weren't Stanley Cups, I guess, but there was something happening.
Yeah, no, it was actually really good, and we did a lot of great service projects, which was great to get the kids involved. And like I said, we
were they up here, like the service projects, or were they anywhere?
All over. Like one time, I used to work for Shriners Children's Hospital, and I had the Moms Club and the kids come, and we did stuff with the kids there. And every year they do something with the angel tree through the fire department through Draper, and so it's actually it sounds funny. I'm like, I was in a mom gang, but it really helped. It really, really helped. And it really solidified like my place here. Like I felt like I'm creating a life in Draper and a life in Suncrest. And so it's been good.
So kind of to position you here, I feel like you are a true Suncrester in the sense that you represent what Suncrest is, which is a transplant coming in.
Yes, but don't ask me that in the winter. Because in the winter...
So tell me this. You had a life in Long Island.
Yes.
You moved to Suncrest. You go, there's a little bit of skiff on the snow on the ground. That's hilarious. You laugh it off. You and your husband laugh it off.
Yeah.
And then things start happening. What was the moment you went, oh, I don't know. Did that happen?
That happened, what was it, 2 years ago now? That winter?
That was the one?
I call it that winter. Where I really thought I might need to go on. I needed to up my meds. I was not doing well. I was not doing well. I mostly work from home, so I felt like I was constantly stuck at home.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, that was the winter that almost broke me.
Really?
I was in a bad place. I just felt trapped, and maybe it was because I work from home, so I just really felt like I was never leaving, and it was never any sun, and my husband had a whole bunch of major health things that have gone on over the past 3 years or so, from open heart surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had open heart surgery.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, word.
Yeah, so he had an aortic aneurysm, and he had open heart surgery, and then it was an absolute disaster recovery. We were in and out of the hospital. And so then he recovers from that, and it's his first winter snowboarding, back on the mountain, feeling like he's back to himself, and he gets hit by a skier and gets a spinal cord injury.
What?
So there was, it's crazy, crazy. Gibbons family has gotten hit hard these last couple of years, and so
give him a break. Best I could
do. And so during those horrible winters, he couldn't even snowblow. And so I'm out there trying, but the
Why
neighbors...
didn't you tell me this?
Well, we had, so everybody across the street.
I didn't know this was happening.
I forgive you, Gibby.
Now.
No, it was good.
I think I heard he got an injury, but I didn't know it was a spinal cord injury.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so, knowing too, he couldn't shovel or snowblow.
Can he still walk? I see him walking all the time, so he can still walk?
Yeah, he had emergency cervical,
And you're a nurse.
Yeah.
So you're like, this is bad.
Yeah, I was like, can you stop getting hurt? You just recovered from open heart surgery, and now this happens.
Really?
I'm like, I thought we were I was gonna have to sage the house. I thought
sign me up. Yeah, if that's happening to me, sign me up. I will.
So those winters were super, super hard. And then one day it's probably when I was really on my mental breakdown. I said, "That's it. I'm getting a palm tree." And Cullen was like,
"That's what this is."
He was like, "Well, no." So he was like, "What do you mean you're getting a palm tree?" And I was like, "It's coming from Amazon." And he was like, "I don't want to know." And so I don't know. I got this brilliant idea to buy 2 6-foot-tall inflatable palm trees.
Whoa!
And so I blew them up and I put them on the lawn. I don't know if you ever noticed that they were there.
At one point we were decorating the street as a joke.
Because that started because of the palm trees. So I did the palm trees.
You started that?
And so then
we had like people in lawn chairs out, like skeletons in lawn chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was because of me. So I did the palm trees, and then next thing you know, like the Chapmans had flamingos out, and the Taylor family decorated their whole thing, and like everyone started decorating. And I was like, okay, we're gonna make it.
But your intentions were to
just to bring some light into a very dark, dark winter.
Yeah. I mean, we were getting crushed. Like, literally, our house was like crushing.
Yeah, I remember your roof and
I was making videos just to de-stress.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we had so much that was destroyed. Like we had left our barbecue out, and that was crushed. And porch furniture, I left some of it out, and even though it was over, we have a pretty big porch, that was destroyed. Like, needed a new roof, like so many of us did, and so that was rough. But then the summers come. And you get that reset, and you're like, it is so nice living up here.
Yeah, it feels like a different country in the summer. Like you feel like you're in like Europe or something. Sometimes you're walking towards the mountains on the street. Yeah.
Everyone's out, and you go take a walk, and sometimes I'll go take a walk, and Clem's like, "You've been gone for 2 hours." I'm like, "Because I have to stop and talk to everybody." So it's like I go maybe 40 feet. Yeah. I'm gone for 2 hours. I have to stop and talk to everybody, and so like that's the stuff that I really love. And the farmers market tomorrow night's the last night.
Tomorrow the last one?
Yeah.
It's such a great thing. The farmers market, and I'll say this: the HOA has done a fantastic job with the farmers market.
Yeah,
and like everyone's going to hate on an HOA, but like I'll just give them a shout out. Yeah. They do a great job.
Yep.
And honestly, the vendors there, you can tell they love being at ours.
Yeah.
We even have like a kid across the street that sells like rock earrings. If you want to get a good deal, he'll hook you up. But it's just so fun to see people in our community there selling things. And I'm like,
I love it.
Yeah,
and so that's the stuff I love.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I'm going to give a shout out to Chris Bates, who has her Pinch and Pearl pottery studio down the street.
We have some of it in our kitchen.
I've taken her course. Yeah. And it was the best 6 weeks of my life. And she will tell you, well, she won't tell you because she's too nice. Like I was her worst student ever. But, and then to go and see her at the market selling her stuff. And it's just, I just love stuff like that. I love community. And I feel like, adding that farmer's market has kind of been like a game changer to kind of reset. Like every time I get into that space of like, I hate living up here because of the winter, we have stuff like this, and I'm like, okay, this is great.
We can survive the winter. Yeah. And honestly, after that last winter, last year was easy. And this year, I'm like, okay, if it's the same as the 2 years ago, I can survive that one. Yeah. And then if anything, like the houses are built to survive them because we could see the worst of it. So.
Yeah. And I try to make so I've been saying this every year, and this is the year I'm going to do it. Like I want to ski through the neighborhood.
Ski through the neighborhood?
Yeah.
So Chris and Melissa Esplin, they do that.
Do they?
Yeah, they do that all the time.
I want to do that. Or just I don't know, walk up to if you can maybe walk up to the Alien Tower, because now there's all those new trails there, and see if you can kind of try to ski all the way down as far as I can. I don't know.
That sounds like,
I just want to do it.
I think you can do that pretty easily.
Yeah.
You ski, right?
Yeah, I love skiing.
Okay. Best resort, which one do you go to? What's the...
It depends. I mean, we did Icon for a while. Now we're doing Mountain Collective because it's a little bit cheaper. Once you try to get ski passes for a whole family, it's insane. So Mountain Collective is a little bit cheaper. So we balance between Snowbird, Alta, Snow Basin.
You guys are well versed, and the kids are all doing it too.
Yeah, a little bit less now that they're a little bit older.
Too cool
McKenna's
for it now?
Not doing it as much, even though she's a great snowboarder, and Brady's a really good skier. He'll still go with me every weekend, and my husband, unfortunately, because of his accident, can't snowboard anymore.
Can he ski?
He can't get hit again. So.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So that's been a little bit of a different dynamic because it was so part of our identity too of moving to Utah. Was to every weekend we skied or snowboarded.
So you skied before living in Utah?
Yeah, a little bit, but then really embraced it once you live right here.
Yeah, that's true.
So
with little kids, you were skiing.
Well, the kids were little when we moved here, so they didn't ski that much in New York. But
you took them skiing when they moved here, like when they were little? Really? That's so hard to do. I can't believe you did that.
No, they were on snowboard since they were 2.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Brady switched over to skiing, but we got them started mountain biking early, and my son's on the mountain.
Yeah, they're always doing something outside. They're just great kids. Yeah, outside of the
all
side.
The kids on our street are good kids.
They
all
are,
good kids. And it's like the second generation because when we moved here, a lot of the kids are older now, and everyone's getting ready to graduate high school, and now your kids are the new generation of little ones, and it's fun to watch them grow up.
My head's in the sand. I can't do anything but change poopy diapers. That's my life.
Been there. Been there.
Well, it's so funny you were nervous to come on the podcast.
I was.
You're like, I don't know if I can talk on this thing.
Because I talk a lot.
Yeah.
I present in my job all the time, but I've never had like a camera like this in my face, and I was so nervous.
So people who haven't come on, I've invited people to come on. I won't name drop anybody I've invited to come on. But can you reassure them it's not a terrible experience?
It's not. It's not. It's actually super fun.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to add? We're about at the time people
start getting bored of seeing my face.
We're about at 47 minutes. So I was going to let you know where we're at, just in case you're worried. Usually about an hour is like the max. But I feel like we covered everything you sent me. Yeah. So I asked people to send me just a few things about themselves that give me insight. But like I feel like I really know you a lot better now, Kelly.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize you had all that stuff happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know you were also lifetime in Long Island, then moved to Suncrest.
Yep.
That's
well,
wild.
and to end it on this funny story, when we first moved to this street in Oga Vista, we were the third Long Island family on this street.
Third?
The third. So Peter Drubin.
On this street. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, our street, actually, the name changes, right? So I still call it one street, right?
Yeah.
So it was me, us, Peter Drubin used to live on our street before he moved.
That, yeah.
And then there was a third family.
Who's the third?
I forget what their last name was, but they have since moved. But we were the third Long Island family on this street in Oga Vista.
And you didn't know each other in Long Island?
No, but the other family, she grew up in the same town as me. But she was a little older and we went to different high schools, so we didn't know each other.
What?
But yeah, so three of us. So Long Islanders, we're taking over Suncrest. What can I tell you?
What is it about Long Island that what is it culturally that's pulling people?
I think that people just want a more, I don't know if wholesome is the right word, but more just getting in touch with nature a little bit more laid back. Although I must say though, like, it's not as laid back here as I thought it would be. Like, yes, you have the trails and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still, kind of keeping up with the Joneses a little bit, and which is very much like a Long Island thing. But I think people are just taxes in New York, and you're spending a lot of money for nothing. Where you can come here and get a bigger house and pay nothing in your taxes, and just that access to skiing. East Coast people do love skiing, but we have to travel 3, 4, 5 hours to get there.
So there's a culture of skiing they go to Utah.
Yeah.
There's a known trend.
There's a lot of East Coasters who come out to Park City, Utah, just to ski.
Do you ever do that as a kid? Come to Utah and ski?
No, we would just go upstate or New Jersey. Really? There's a little ski resort, and anyone who's an East Coaster knows Mountain Creek in New Jersey, where half the people you see skiing are skiing in jeans. So that was kind of like the extent of the skiing culture. If you wanted to get someplace skiing quick, you went to Mountain Creek, which was like 2 hours outside of the city. Yeah. So I think just coming here for all of these amazing things that you could have at your fingertips here. You can be in the desert in 3 hours here and have a completely different landscape, or be up in, the national forest area up here and have a completely different landscape. And it's mind-blowing what you see and what you get.
It's hard to explain to people. They're like, why do you live up there? What's the deal? Like you should move. And people like, I wouldn't live there. Are you kidding me? Look at that snow. And we moved here because I loved that there were people that wanted to stay here. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I moved all over the country as a kid. I moved every 3 years. My father was a chemical engineer, and never had a place to really call home.
Yeah.
But this is really a place that I think people move here and they go, I can't leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they leave in a year.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think a lot of people are moving in and out. This street, our street, it's been very transient. There's been people who come and go, but it's because of the business, the big business boom that's going on, the Silicon Slopes and whatnot. And people come, they're getting transferred again. But it also keeps it fun. I mean, we've had so many neighbors come and go, and it's fun to get to know new people. And then the OGs, I like to call it, are still, still here.
They're still
and,
kicking.
Yeah. And I don't know, my kids are getting older. My oldest is about to graduate. And, in a couple of years, we talk about, maybe going down to St. George permanently, or more towards retirement age. But
get another cabin maybe.
I would love that.
Yeah. Get a second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I felt like it was a great interview.
It was fun.
We're both telling each other we did a great job,
giving ourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah. But I'm glad you have a newfound passion that you're working towards with the consulting.
We'll see. So many hopefully open doors coming my way, and just enjoying some extra free time to be able to come and do this at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, lunch hour. That's when I'm doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you once again. And I don't know how to end these, so
the awkward goodbye.
Yeah. So I guess we'll cut it there.
All right.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.